to push back because, of course, it's always a race to the bottom with capitalist expansion. We need to put the brakes on where those exploitations start to happen. And we can see that happening here, but it's not inevitable. It's not inevitable.
So the hope for The Gig Is Up is that you'll create more awareness, action, create a movement. What happens next? What's the process?
Yeah, so we've been playing film festivals right now, and we're talking here at the end of September, and we are about to launch a US theatrical run and releasing on iTunes in the US as well. And alongside of that, we've been building an impact campaign. So teaming up with people across sectors, from unions to academics organizing around tech to tech folks, academics, really a wide range of people to use the film. We hope in the US, there's really active policy stuff on the table. There's fights in California and all across the US. So we really hope that people will be able to use the film as a place, a water cooler, so to speak, to bring people together, to talk about the issues and to push real policy change that I think can happen. The reality is so many of the companies, if you change in one area, sometimes they move to another. We've had that here in Canada where they, workers won against Fedora in Ontario, and the company just shut and left, right? So I think we have to work on multiple fronts, and that's definitely right now we're going to focus on our campaign in the US, and then we continue a festival run. We're going to be here in theaters in Canada as well, and on television and streaming into the new year. So, along the way, we want to keep doing impact campaigns, bringing people together, and really elevating the issue as much as possible. It's surprising to me that we still know so little about the humans behind the tech we use. And I really hope, if nothing else, that people take away, it's that, every time you tap that app, you're calling on a person. And you're calling on a human who has a livelihood and who is, someone that it serves us all to care about.
Good point. Knowing very little about documentary filmmaking, can you tell us what's changed?
Yeah, I mean, we're really in what people call the golden age of documentary right now, because I think really it's not only the appetite from viewers who want to see the content, but the democratization of the methods and the means. So, just with digital technology, it really, I think, has allowed a lot of people to come in that might not have been part of it before. And I think there's a hunger right now. And I don't know, I think, the quality of documentaries in the last decade have really added to the public's consciousness about wanting to be involved, watch conscious stuff. We have much bigger audiences than there used to be. And there's a whole area now, what we're doing in our film called Impact, where we are working actively as we make the film and as we finish the film and bring it out into the world, to thinking about, how do you make impact with a film? What does that look like? What do we need to do? What resources do we need to put? And it is a lot of resources. It's hard to make a film, period, but then to actually bring it into the world and try to make an impact, it's a whole next level. But that's an area now that I think more and more people really take seriously as the role a film can play in the public conversation. And I think that we've seen real evidence that, films don't change the world in and of themselves. Movements change the world, people change the world. But I think films can definitely be a part of that and an important part. Sometimes we need to hear people's voices and see them to really be able to feel what's going on, to have an emotional connection. So I think in that way, documentary has really become a part of the overall story for kind of all of the big issues that we're facing right now.
So they can really be the catalyst for change.
I think that's it. I think I'm definitely not naive and think that a film changes the world, or is the fundamental thing. But I think if it's in combination with boots on the ground, it really can add a ton of momentum. And we definitely hope to do that with this film.
Is funding always a challenge?
Unfortunately, yes. We're very lucky in Canada that we have, arts funding and national level funding from Telefilm, which supported this film. But funding always is an issue. There was Peter Wintonic used to say, documentarians take the vow of poverty, which I think a lot of us now say, well, hey, I don't think that's a sustainable model. But we do this for the love in many ways. And the hustle to get funding is tough. And there's more and more people who want to make films, right? There's more and more people out there, and that makes it that much more competitive to get into festivals, to get the film made in the first place. So this is my 5th feature film. So I feel really blessed to have been able to make this many films. But, I definitely don't always break even, let alone get paid. I really... And as you get further along in your career, I find sometimes it can be tougher because you're not the newest cat in the yard, so to speak, and maybe not hugely famous either. So you've got to prove yourself every single time, and that can be tough. But I believe if there's a story that's worth telling and needs to be told, there'll be a way to do it.
How do you teach filmmaking?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a pleasure, absolutely, to be able to be part of the creative process of anybody else, and young people especially. And I learned so much from them, of course. I mean, I try to share my own experience as well as really help them find their voice. I think, you can just start making a film or learn on the go, and that's valid too. To me, if you come into a university and want to learn from another filmmaker, what I hope to offer them is a kind of way to tap into their intuition, to find their voice, and to become a self-reflective creator who kind of can ask important questions and look critically at the work. So a big part of how I teach definitely includes those type of questions, like, why are you making this? And, where are you in it? And what's your point of view? And kind of nurturing them to find whether it's style or topic or story that feels resonant. Because we all have particular stories to tell. So really like trying to help students to do that is the thing I take most pleasure in, for sure. I think the technical stuff you can learn on YouTube, like it's not that it's so hard. I mean, it is hard. Don't get me wrong. It's extremely hard. But like the literal holding a camera or editing on the computer, like those things you can learn. It's like finding your voice and what you want to say and how to structure a story and how to tell a good story. Those things are hard, and they come with experience as well.
What haven't we talked about that we should talk about regarding the film?
I feel like we've really touched all of it. I've talked a lot about where it's going. And I guess like I could say, I think one of the funniest things that I found was my favorite character in the film is Jason, who has his kind of set of gold teeth. And I did something kind of interesting. So it was quite hard to find participants from the M-Turk community who are sort of in the shadows of gig work, right? Like there are people working on their computers all over the world. How do you find them? There's literally no water cooler. There's no location. People are working in their homes. So I actually ended up sending out a survey on the platform itself, asking people to send me videos of themselves. And so you see some of those in the film, but I found Jason in that way as well. He sent a video, and it was just the first time I saw it, it was just, I thought, oh, this guy, it's such, it was just so amazing to, it's documentary gold, I would say. In fiction, if you wrote a character like Jason, people would say, I don't believe it, because he's such a contradiction, right? At one level, you think what this person's going to be, but based on his appearance, and it turns out that he's just the opposite. You think he's got this sort of swagger and almost criminality kind of vibe to him, but meanwhile, he's like this really sensitive soul who takes care of his mother, who kind of is outsmarting the algorithms and the systems to make it work for him, and to kind of scrape a living together decently. And, I just found him such an endearing person. And he also really reminded me about like the US, the incredible amount that people have been shut out of the formal economy. With Jason, he has a felony. I know the story behind it, and it's it's a completely ridiculous reason why you would end up being, as a young person, shut out of work opportunities for the rest of your life for like a very small offense. And that is so much of that, the US, with the kind of prison industrial complex that they have going there. And it did remind me that there's a reason why people are doing this kind of work, complicated reasons, complicated lives. And that, to me, I never want to denigrate that. I never want to say like that people don't have the, I don't want to put a big judgment on how people want to find their work and livelihoods and the ways that they want to have control over their life. I think that is really important to always keep at the forefront, for sure. That's why I normally say I point to movements, because I'm not the expert here. They are, I've spent a lot of time listening, but there's a lot I don't know still on the topic. So, but yeah, I loved meeting someone like him, someone like Jason, really. And I'm still in touch with everybody from the film, and they continue to make me laugh and inspire me and make me hopeful for the future too.
I thought that, I thought he was pretty special. And what I loved was you gave him a voice.
Yeah. And I think there's like a lot of people like Jason who we just don't listen to. We don't take any time to hear what folks like him have to say. And why not? What's that about? And I think that's one of the roles of a documentarian, is also to bring some of those voices out from the shadows, so to speak. And I think that type of work, that shadow work, what Mary Gray called ghost work, is really important to bring out from under the shadows, for sure.
I'm not quite sure how to frame this question, but I'm curious why you focused on Jason and others in the documentary and didn't talk about the companies that are affecting their lives.
In early development of the film, I thought, well, will we try to, get some of the CEOs and whatnot to talk about what they're doing. And we actually did even follow a couple companies, smaller companies that are trying to do things a bit differently. But, for the big companies, I feel like they get so much airtime. Honestly, like it's just this constant barrage of the story they want to tell. And, what were we going to get from that we won't already know, And to me, the thing is, we have the subtitle in the film, A Very Human Tech Doc, because I find like so much of the tech docs that are popular now they act like there's not people working, like real everyday people. Yeah. And it's like surprising, even talking to like tech insiders. Sometimes I'd say, so what do you think about all this ghost work and this labor that's happening in India and Africa, all over? And they're like, oh, like, there's this active sort of denial of wanting to recognize what computational scientists call the human in the loop, the human that's part of literally everything that is happening in tech. So to me, that was like, if we had the screen time, let's give it to those people.
The Gig Is Up is a great documentary. So how do people find out more about it?
So if you're in the US, iTunes is now in pre-order. So you can order on iTunes and stream the film that way. We're also still in a festival tour, as well as screening dates that will be in theaters in the next couple months. And that's all on our website at www.thegigisup.ca. So follow us there. And we're also on all the social media platforms as well. And we do share where our screenings are happening and other information if you want to learn more about movements that are doing stuff or how to get involved. We've got a lot of resources there.
So what's next for you?
I've got a couple new projects on the go. I'll be really busy with this film, obviously, for the next while. And I'm also teaching at UBC right now. But I have one project called Adrian and the Castle, which is a kind of playful film, really creative doc that follows a kind of a fantasy love story created by this couple in Savannah, Illinois, who ended up building this castle monument to their love. And it's a film about grief and our illusions of creating a world that we want to inhabit. So really different kind of film there. And I'm also working on a feature following the story in depth of Amanda Todd, if you might remember, the teenager from Coquitlam. So I'm working on a project as well, going a little bit more into her life story. So those are my two active things happening now. And I've always got a few irons in the fire.
That's awesome. Thank you. I really want to thank you for taking time to talk about the documentary, share some of your experiences in documentary filmmaking, and talk about teaching. And and share so much. It's been a real joy.
Thank you so much for chatting with me. It was really great to be here. I really appreciate it.
We've been speaking with Shannon Walsh, a filmmaker, writer, associate professor in the Department of Theater and Film at the University of British Columbia, and the director of The Gig Is Up. If you'd like to find out more about Shannon, you can find her on Wikipedia, at UBC, and at thegigisup.ca. That's another edition of The Conversation